Hey guys, and welcome to Should You Buy It, where all we do is talk a little bit about the game and tell you whether or not we think it's worth the cost. In this episode, we'll be playing Blastronaut, the 2D mining survival crafting game where your goal is to get as much money and gear as you can so you can mine deeper into the planet to find valuable resources. The first question that we always cover in these videos is what stage of development is the game in? And in this case, Blastronaut is currently in early access and available on PC for $19. So what exactly is the game? Well, Blastronaut is a game that focuses very heavily on your progression through gear, reputation, and research. Blastronaut's main gameplay loop, however, will see you heading down into the ground so that you can use your space mining weapons to gather resources. Those resources can be sold for cash or used in upgrades and crafting. However, in order to sell those resources, you will have to find a computer that is willing to accept them. Computers can be found all throughout the procedurally generated world, and each one will have to be purchased with 20 to 50 of the base mining resource. Each one of these computers will have either the ability to let you sell an item to it or allow you to pick up a quest. Quests will usually consist of the game asking you to gather a certain amount of a specific resource. Upon gathering enough of that resource, it will pull it out of your inventory and you will be rewarded with some items, some reputation, or some credits that you can spend to help upgrade your gear. Now, upgraded gear will make the later zones significantly easier to deal with. It allows you to mine harder blocks and fly around with your jetpack much more easily. You can also upgrade your gear by purchasing extra health points and maximum fuel. In order to upgrade your gear, fuel, and health points though, you will have to find a small station and repair it. After repairing it, you will then be given the option to purchase an item for a specific amount of resources and some extra credits. The later zones in the game will of course contain the more expensive and rarer resources, but it will also have enemies for you to deal with. You see, at the start of the game, the little creatures don't really do much and drop some fuel for you on death, whereas the later ones have ranged weapons and will attempt to dive bomb you from time to time. If you ever do die, you will lose roughly half of your inventory, so it's important to make sure you store as much as you can before diving down into the depths of the planet. There are currently planned to be a total of 5 different game modes within the game upon release. There's your standard game mode with a predetermined starting area, a random seed mode, a mode where you start with lots of extra resources, a mode where you die quicker to explosions, and a mode where you will have less resources scattered around the map. Regardless of which one you choose though, there is no standard difficulty setting option such as an easy, normal, or hard mode, at least at the time of recording this video. So now let's move over to the pros and cons section for the video. The only pro that I have for you today was that the best thing about the entire game was how satisfying the mining felt. Each weapon has a different amount of kick to it, as well as a different explosion radius for you to deal with. The kick on those weapons will require you to try and not kill yourself while flying around and mining with the force pushing you around. I also think the whole idea of you not being able to mine something 2 inches from your face, like you can in most of these 2D mining games, is unique since you'll just blow yourself up if you do it. Now for the cons. First up is that there is just currently not a whole ton of content, at least not yet. There could be more in the future, but at the current moment in time, it only took somewhere around 6 to 10 hours to clear the entirety of everything the game had to offer. We really wish there was more to do, as some of the game's elements can be fun, it just doesn't really have much to do after you reach those biomes farther down into the planet. Next is that there is really no ultimate goal. At the time of recording again, there is no bosses in the game, and this just means that there's really no goal for you to work towards aside from upgrading your gear and staying alive. I really wish they had some more juicy things for you to work towards. You could do, say, maybe a rocket that blasts you off into space to get to a harder planet, or maybe just to finish the game like Factorio has. You could have bosses like Terraria has, but they just didn't implement any of that, at least not at this point in time. I don't really know what their long-term goal is with it, but at the moment, again, this is just unacceptable for a $20 title. After that is the minor bugs. Now, when I say minor bugs, these aren't really anything that's too game breaking or something like that. It's more things along the line of when you first load into a world, or if you just decide to go exploring too fast upwards or downwards,
you'll actually have rendering lag where you have to render such a low graphic game and the game can't do it fast enough. This can become an issue and result in you dying once in a while, but at the end of the day, it's still really annoying to deal with, and I just wish it wasn't an issue. And finally for the cons, it's just these strange choices that have been made about the mechanics. An example of this would be the fact that in order to get quests, you have to get them from these computer-like things. Well, when you find them and unlock them for a specific price of resources, you then will be offered a quest. However, you can get a dupe of a quest you've already done, which means it is completely worthless, and that quest cannot be repeated at a new computer. It just says, job has already been completed and you've wasted your resources. I don't know why they don't just let you do it a second or a third or a fourth time. I think that would be much better of a choice, but nonetheless, it's what we have in the game today.
So now it's time for the rating for the game, and when we rate games, we want to get 1 hour of enjoyment out of every $1 that the game costs. So for this game in particular, in Blastronaut, we would want to get roughly 19 hours of enjoyment out of the $19 cost of the game. And after putting several played hours into this game, we give it 3 out of 10 potatoes.
Blastronaut honestly feels more like a concept for a $19 game than it does actually feel like a $19 game. The lack of an ultimate goal and content really puts a huge dampener on the experience, as once you reach the final biomes that the game currently has to offer, there really isn't much else to do. The game certainly has a lot of ideas that could make it really good in the future if they were expanded on, but at this current point in time, aside from the enjoyable mining experience, the game feels hollow and like it lacks any real depth. With all that being said, we feel that Blastronaut is more than likely not worth the cost, at least at this point in time.
Before you guys go, thank you so much for watching, and if you did enjoy the video, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe for more survival game content. I just want to shout out Jonathan S. and Jim Phillips. Thank you guys so much for being members. We couldn't do this without you, and also a shout out to all of our new subscribers here on screen. Now don't forget to check out all of our links in the description below for things like our music library and Epic Games creator code, as these are just ways for you to help support the channel. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching again, and we'll see you next time.